Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and today we are going to talk about Zillow and iBuying. Zillow's been in the news quite a bit here over the past few weeks, most notably for shutting down their iBuying department and laying off a lot of people. And I've had a lot of different clients and friends and even people in taxis asking me questions about Zillow and what's going to happen to the housing market because they shut down their iBuying, and really what's going to happen with iBuying in general. So lots and lots of questions. Some of them are concerned, some of them are just more curious. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Zillow and specifically iBuying and the future of iBuying, and also talk about what might be the issue with it or what makes it more difficult than it might seem on paper. First off, what's going on with Zillow? And I don't think it's too difficult to see, and there's been a lot of different news articles about what's going on, and really it just wasn't profitable for them. They lost a bunch of money. They discovered that their algorithm did not predict things as accurately as they would like to, and with this hot housing market that we're experiencing, there were a lot of different variables working against them. And I think Zillow just got caught in a tough situation. They're trying to build their reputation and their brand, buying houses in the market, and they got themselves overextended. And in this case, it sounds like they're going to be selling a lot of homes at a loss, and they're going to be shutting everything down. The algorithm, the Zestimate, is kind of the hot topic right now. How accurate are those? And I think there are a lot of real estate agents right now dogging Zillow and other online estimates at the fact that they're really not extremely accurate. At the same time, though, as a real estate professional, I do find them helpful a little bit because it gives a general sense of what a home's worth. And I do tell people, go ahead and look at Zillow. Go ahead and look at Redfin as well. Both of those algorithms are probably the two better ones that are out there online. They're not perfect. They're not an exact science, but they do their best to pull together data from relatively comparable sales to come up with a home's value. And the range is usually fairly large. And if you look at the numbers, you'll see the middle number, which is the one that they show on the website, but you'll also see that range. And sometimes you'll see a $150,000, $200,000 range, and that means that those algorithms feel less confident about that house than they do about another one. And in some instances, those ranges are really, really narrow because they're fairly confident in the number. So I think the first issue with these Zestimates or these online estimates, if you want to look at some of the other algorithms, is the fact that it's hard to compare houses without actually getting inside of them. So as a real estate agent, I'm getting inside of houses every day, and I can see, appraisers do the same thing. You're seeing with your eyeballs these same houses that you're seeing photos of. When it comes to comparing houses in a place like Seattle, you have a large variation of different styles of homes, different years built. You have a lot of homes that are updated, while you also have a lot of homes that aren't updated. And it's hard to look at a neighborhood that's not homogeneous, that has a lot of variation, and come up with an estimate that is accurate. Whereas if you go to some other communities, which is where they really were trying to do most of their buying, Zillow was buying in places in Texas and Colorado and other markets, Phoenix, where you have more planned neighborhoods with a lot more similar homes. And it is a little bit easier, you'd think, to predict the values and the sale prices of these homes once they're fixed up. But at the same time, that's where they were struggling to turn a profit. So I think what we're seeing here is the fact that it's really hard to buy on scale and to automate everything. I think there's a lot of value to the automation, and it is helpful. People do enjoy being able to look on the internet and see what their house is worth. I'll admit, even as a professional, that I look at the online estimates and I use them as some kind of a reference, but I also have a professional opinion about the value of my house. And I think many people are also curious. It's kind of like when you're looking at your assets, if you're looking at your stock portfolio, you want to know what's it worth today, not what was it worth 2 years ago, not what was it worth a month ago. You want to know the play-by-play, day-by-day value. And so people like to keep tabs on what their home's worth. And I think these online estimates give a really good idea. But again, if you're trying to make money off of these estimates and you're putting and relying on these with a lot of surety, I think that's where you get yourself into trouble. So is Zillow in trouble? Are they going to go out of business? Are they done? Definitely not. Zillow's primary business was not built on iBuying. That's not what Zillow did from the beginning. And Zillow's been a profitable company and made money specifically selling advertisements to agents and connecting real estate agents with buyers and sellers. And so I think Zillow's going to continue to do that. I think maybe this iBuying section is closed, but that doesn't mean Zillow is not going to continue to be a successful company in the long run. I think the biggest thing right now, though, is when we look at their stock has plummeted a lot because people were speculating. I think everybody's doing that in the stock market right now, speculating on what things are going to look like in the future and buying for what they believe is going to come true and not what a company's producing right now. And so there's a lot of inflated prices in the stock market. I think Zillow was an instance of that, where that people were projecting what was going to be happening in the future, and once they realized that wasn't the case, all of a sudden people didn't want any part of it. So is Zillow's stock down? Yes. Is it going to close? Is Zillow going to close operations, go out of business? Definitely not. The last thing I want to talk about here in this video is iBuying and the future of iBuying. Is it going to continue? And I believe the answer is yes. I think there's different ways to do it and maybe ways to be better at it, but there's going to continue to be people trying to figure out how to iBuy. And Redfin's still doing it. Open Door's still doing it. Other companies are still doing it. And I think there's a convenience factor for sellers to be able to purchase. I think there's a convenience factor for people who want to sell their home that will continue to make it appealing. It's the same idea for somebody selling their house maybe to a house flipper or a builder or a developer off market. It's just convenient. And they know, or at least I hope they do, that they're usually losing a little bit of money by selling their home off market versus listing their home and exposing it to the market, especially right now when you have such a frenzied market. But in a slower market or in a situation where maybe you have to sell quickly or just get out of it, that's where I think the appeal for iBuying is. And it's really the same philosophy for a seller when they decide to go the iBuying route versus maybe selling to somebody else off market. It's just convenient. Maybe they get cashed out quickly and they can work on their own timeline. So iBuying, I think, is still going to be around, and it's going to be something I think that becomes more prevalent over time. But at the same time, I don't think we're going to ever lose the tried and true buyer and seller marketing a home and trying to expose it to the most amount of buyers and sellers. I think anytime you can involve competition in the market, that's a good thing for a seller. And really it's good for the buyer because you don't have people missing out on opportunities either, or certain people having special privileges. So iBuying, yes, it's going to continue to be part of the market, but I don't think we're ever going to see iBuying take over the world, because as much as we want to automate everything, I think we're seeing that you can't automate everything. But at the same time, I'm just one person, one opinion. I'd love to see your comments and your feedback down below this video. I'd love to engage with those thoughts. I'm just one person here and I have my own thoughts and opinions, but I'd love to hear what yours are as well. So even if it's conflicting or it agrees with me, I'd love to hear what you have to say.